Hello, Chicago. Again this week, we are coming to you from Studio C at AM 560, The Answer. This is the IRS Radio Hour.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The show is sponsored by the law office of Stephen A. Leahy P.C. and Opem Tax Resolutions.
God bless you, Opem Tax Resolution.
Opem helps people achieve full financial recovery. We deal with IRS problems, audits, levies, liens, garnishments, collections, unfiled tax returns, and payroll tax issues. We also help people deal with mortgage foreclosures, loan modifications, bankruptcy, and other debt-related issues. So if you have any of these problems, or if you know someone who does, and if you need your taxes done this year, and you're looking for an expert to do it for you, then you need to call Opem Tax Resolutions at 312-664-6649. Again, it's 312-664-6649. Mention this show that I mentioned for tax returns, and I'll give you a 20% discount. How's that?
Whoa!
20%, right off the top.
Whoa.
Take it right off the top.
Sunday, ladies and gentlemen.
So, I want to introduce our technical producer, Debbie Schreiner.
Hi, Stephen.
And also, I want to welcome my co-host, my nephew, my very good friend, Jimmy Leahy.
Look, I have one job on this lousy ship. It's stupid, but I'm going to do it, okay?
I don't think my job's stupid. I don't even know what's going on with that anymore.
Your job is great.
Yes, Debbie. How are you, Debbie? You said hello, Stephen, not hello, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
You weren't introduced, Jim.
I was trying to keep the mystery there.
It's the mystery machine over here.
Before you were introduced.
Hey, Scooby.
Yeah, a little Scooby-Doo, a little
good.
Funky Phantom, you know.
That's one thing great about Scooby-Doo is that it spans the generations.
It's just timeless.
It's been on forever.
It's timeless. I saw it. Okay, I'm not going to get into it.
But before we go on,
ladies and gentlemen,
do your
this
stuff.
is a show that not only talks about IRS-related issues,
and
but
Scooby-Doo.
and Scooby-Doo and the Funky Phantom. We talk a lot about that. Jabberjaw. But it also talks. We also talk bears. We talk about a lot of things and a lot of politically charged and related issues. And going into that, ladies and gentlemen,
no, let's not do that yet, because I wanted to talk something about. I wanted to mention Joe Walsh's event last Saturday here. It was at the Diplomat in Elmhurst, and he had the event. I went out there. My son Jake.
How was it?
It was great, and my son Jake helped set it up, so he was out there early. And what you were to do is bring a dish. You know, you brought something, and there was about 1,000 people there.
A potluck?
Yeah, it was kind of it's potluck, and you put it up they had the tables in the back full of all these different dishes that people brought, and then you waited in line. And
was there a fish dish?
Yeah, there was lots of other stuff. Okay, so I waited in line, and I finally got to the food. And then Joe Walsh gets up on stage and says, "Where's Steve Leahy? Where's Steve Leahy?" So I got to get out of my line and come out, and he introduced me to the crowd. And
then he didn't get any food.
What he said was, and I thought this was great, he said, if I got back in the office, I would abolish the IRS. And everybody there clapped and said, yes, get rid of the IRS. And then he said, but before that happens, if you need IRS problems, contact Steve Leahy. So I thought that was great. I think we're gonna redo his the thing he does.
The live read, yeah.
and have him do that, because I think that's because it's true.
Spoiler alert!
And I sat at the table, and one guy was asking me,
not even Stephen Leahy got it.
When we sat at somebody's asking me, hey, he's talking about getting rid of the IRS. Are you okay with that? I said, yeah, I'm okay with that. Even though it would affect my business. People are going to pay taxes, and there'll always be people having problems. So I'm all for getting rid of the IRS. And we're going to talk about that at the IRS saga, because there's some news about that.
There's some juicy stuff going on
later in the show. So stay tuned, and we'll talk about that. So now go back into what we were talking.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's that segment. It's the News Roundup.
Review and comment on the news.
Partner. See what I did there? A little John Wayne.
It's kind of a Western thing. That's
Western.
true.
Oh, how is it not Western?
I said it's a Western thing. I agreed with that.
Why did whips become synonymous with, the
West?
The West.
Because they use them to round up the cattle, and that's the West.
I thought they used...
Call them cowboys. That's why they call them cowboys.
False. Actually, African Americans were called cowboys.
who worked with cows. I didn't say what color you were. Oh, that's now we have to look at what color people are because
that's what I'm trying to get at because of the Oscars.
With the Oscars, that's right. Let's nominate everybody for the Oscars. Oh, wait, let's see what color are you. That's what I hate about this whole thing is when you have to look, the first thing you're going to do is look at what color someone's skin is to determine who's going. That's wrong. To me, that's right from the beginning. That's wrong.
Have to be like that.
Okay, but we're not going to talk about that. What we're going to talk first. We want to talk about the debate. We're going to talk about. And
I didn't catch the debate last night, so you got to kind of. And when I mean last night, we record on Friday. Show airs today, Sunday.
Sunday, that's correct.
So give me a little insight on how that was.
Well,
how was Megyn Kelly? Was she good?
We were talking a little bit before the show.
We'll have a clip.
And I had to tell you, I love Megyn Kelly. And that's why, what are you doing, Trump? Going after Megyn Kelly? She's beloved. How could you go after her?
I don't like Megyn Kelly. I'm with Trump on that one. I don't like Megyn Kelly.
How can you
and
not
then
like
the
her?
Oregon standoff.
Because not only is she attractive, but she is competent and aggressive.
Because you want to know why? I don't like watching. I don't like watching the news networks. I don't watch CNN. I don't
generally
News.
watch it either.
I don't watch any of that, and I don't like Megyn Kelly.
Sometimes I watch the Kelly File, but
except Sean Hannity, which is played here on AM 560. Love him.
And you might hear my commercial on Sean Hannity.
Love him.
I think in between the segments here, they play and I started with Sean Hannity's right.
That's the only one I watch.
That you watch? Yeah, I watch it sometimes, but I'm with you. I don't watch Fox News that much or any news because if I ain't going to watch Fox News, I'll tell you I ain't going to watch CNN. That's just the way it is.
Sometimes I like sitting down with a bag of popcorn and watching MSNBC. You know, that's a real good time.
I wanted to also mention the Oregon thing because Jimmy and I were talking a little bit about the Oregon and the clip that comes out. They have that
100 shots into that.
Well, they had the drone up there. They got the FBI got to break out all their tools. We got this drone. Let's get it out there. We're in the middle of nowhere. We got the drone.
Stand up, get the drone.
Guys, we get to use it.
Break it out.
It's a drill.
You mean, we've been practicing for hours.
All joking aside, that was a serious issue.
It was a serious issue, but it is true.
If you watch the video,
I have watched the video.
My take on it is he reached for his gun, but we don't. No, because there was no sound to it.
As I say, when he has his hands up in the air, and he clearly has his hands up in the air.
Yeah, but he does reach down, but we don't know if he's getting shot.
Because if exactly right. Because if he got shot and then his hand comes down, and then they use that hand coming down as a reason why they shot him, well, then that's not really a reason.
But again, he did, from the video footage, he did reach down.
And then again, it might be because you don't know why. But again, he shouldn't have put himself in that position. But it wouldn't have been made more sense if everybody.
It would have made more sense if
everybody just wanted. Everybody would just should have gone home. Let the guy sit out there in that cabin. How long are they going to stay there?
And then they'll go home, and then you arrest them. That's it.
That's right. I'm going to Walmart for a jug of milk.
Yeah, they're going to Walmart for God's sakes. What are you guys doing?
Don't they know that you got the whole
country knows what you're doing.
The whole Calvary's out there waiting for you. You're just going to think you're going to go to I've got to go to 7-Eleven, pick up some juice,
smokes or something.
We need a deck of cards or something. It's really boring over here. You know that they had.
You can only clean your rifle so many times.
Did you know that they had it bugged? Because they have the FBI had all of their tools out. Oh, we're listening to these guys talk. We know what they're doing. We know where they're going. They're coming. Let's set up a roadblock. So again, it's funny. The guys died, and that's wrong.
No,
and I don't.
And it could have ended.
And those guys are wrong for taking it over. And I actually am sympathetic to their cause, but I don't condone their tactics.
It's not a condoned activity.
And the government does run roughshod over everybody in there, and the government is the IRS, and they run roughshod over people too. And when you're the person that they're running roughshod over, well, don't fight them yourself. Get some help, just like Bundy did. He got some help. Get some help. And that's what Opem Tax Resolutions does. They help people solve their IRS problems and protect it for the IRS. Call them at 312-664-6649.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned because after the break, more IRS Radio Hour is coming right at you here on AM 560.
The answer.
Welcome back to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy. Stephen has helped hundreds of Chicagoans recover from financial disaster, and he wants to help you and your family. There are resolutions, and you will hear about all those resolutions during today's informative discussion on the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560 The Answer. Now, here's your host, Attorney Stephen Leahy.
Welcome back. I am your host. I am Attorney Stephen Leahy, and this is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560 The Answer.
And I am your co-host.
You are my
Jim
co-host.
Leahy.
Should I call you Jimmy or Jim? I always called you Jimmy. My cousins, when I was a kid, they always called me Stevie. They still call me Stevie. They're the only ones in the world that call me Stevie, but my cousins still call me Stevie. And
I had one guy call me Kevin, and I was like,
Kevin. Okay.
I can't stop.
But don't call me late for dinner. Anyway, what are we doing now, Jim?
You took my spiel. It is the Blag. The Blag.
That's
it's a wonderful segment where Attorney Leahy sits down, starts a fire,
and gets arrested.
Fire, so,
okay, but anyway,
only you could prevent forest fire.
Yeah, it used to be Smokey the Bear when I was growing up. Now he's just Smokey Bear. They cut out his middle name. He's just Smokey Bear.
Too
anyway,
much. We don't need 3 syllables.
This is
two.
What the blog segment this week. I get to talk about 2 of my favorite areas, and Jimmy will just be enamored with both areas. One is foreclosures.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Foreclosures and short sales. I guess they kind of go hand in hand.
Ooh.
And IRS implications.
Oh, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, pull up. Take notes.
It is true. So, this gets important. I had a commercial on my, that was running that said, I had a client who was in foreclosure and then had lost another property, a short sale, and that there were tax implications for this. And now there are, it really depends on how you hold the property, if you hold it as a primary residence or if you hold it as a investment property. But, the Congress, who was very slow to move, in 2007, they introduced this, the Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act of 2007. Yeah,
of 2007?
They come up with these great names. Okay, and remember, we were in the middle of the crisis then, and a lot of people were losing their homes.
I thought we're in a crisis now.
Well, I have to.
When are we not in a crisis?
I have to agree with you, but the crisis was big then for the foreclosures. Everybody was losing their house. The numbers were huge. I did a lot of foreclosure work back then. And what was happening was there's this debt relief in that if the mortgage company cancels debt, so if I lose my house in foreclosure and and I owed them $200,000 and they sell it for $100,000, well, I still owe them $100,000.
Whoa!
And if the mortgage company doesn't sue me to get it, they cancel that debt, and then the IRS they get a 1099 and they can tax me on that $100,000.
Let's speak English here. So what does that mean for just regular people?
Well, it means that you have to. They think that that's like income. So if I made $100,000 in income, I have to pay taxes on it. If the mortgage company forgives $100,000 in debt, I don't get that $100,000, but the IRS still wants to tax me like I did. Okay, so that's
my gosh,
that's a lot of money, right? So in 2007, they came up with this.
How do you not just jump off a cliff?
Well, because there's ways around it. That's why you don't jump off.
Explain to me.
That's why you call an expert who understands this stuff before you start jumping off a cliff. And I do get people who call it. And I just talked to a client of mine yesterday. He just got a 1099 because here we are in January. People are getting a 1099. He lost his home to foreclosure, and he got a bill for $35,000. Right?
Whoa.
Yeah. And he said, "Well, I said, are you going to get a tax refund back?" We were at the 341 meeting, which is for bankruptcy. And he said, no, I'm not going to. I just got this. I got to have to pay taxes on this. And I had to tell him, you don't have to pay taxes on that. In this debt relief act of 2007, it expired. But then every year, this was great because every year it would expire at the end of the year. And then Congress would not renew it until December of the following year for that year. So you couldn't do any planning. Nobody knew if the Congress was going to extend it or not. But Congress did extend it on December 17th this year. Right at the end of the year, they said, let's extend it again. And so that means if you sold your home in 2015 for less than you owed on your mortgage, again, a short sale, or you lost your home to foreclosure, they extended this the Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act. And what that does is allows you not to pay taxes on that money. Like in that example I gave you was $100,000. Well, if I had to pay, if I have to pay even 10% on $100,000 is $10,000. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of smackers.
So this, if it's my primary residence, this Debt Relief Act allows me to accept it and take it off of my taxes. Now, this is what people do wrong. They get the 1099 that says, like this gentleman I talked about yesterday. He got the $35,000 1099. He said, and I said, don't worry, you don't have to pay taxes. And he said, does that mean I just ignore it? I said, no, you don't ignore it. You have to acknowledge it. Because what will happen if you ignore it, even though you have to acknowledge it, and then so you put it on your tax form, and then you take it off your tax form. It's called an exception. So then you could take it off your tax form and not pay taxes on it. So that's important, but you have to acknowledge it.
Is there an exception for the exception?
There are exceptions to the exception, and that's if it's not a primary residence, if it's an investment property.
Oh, I remember a Senate candidate having that issue.
What's that?
Primary residence.
Oh, that wasn't a Senate candidate.
He was a Senate candidate.
Oh, what about Mayor Rahm Emanuel? He had that problem too. Is that your primary residence? I don't live in Chicago anymore. But so this comes up whether it's your. But again, in this case, you have to put it on your tax return and then take it off your tax return. So I told him, I asked him, do you usually do your own taxes? He said, yeah, I usually. I said, you know what? This year, call me. We're going to do your taxes this year.
Call me, maybe.
Because you have.
Hey, I just met you.
If this isn't treated right, you're going to pay taxes on this $35,000, and it's going to hurt. So you got to treat it correctly. And in some of these big box outfits out there, they don't treat it correctly. They don't see it very often. They don't know how to handle it. And if they don't know how to handle it, you're going to wind up paying taxes on it. And it could be a lot of money. I said I've had clients who came to me. They owe over they get assessed taxes for over $100,000, and it turns out they don't own a dime. And we're fighting with the IRS for one client right now for just this issue. The IRS came back and said, she owns a home. You can't reduce this.
Did they really speak like that?
Yes. But this wasn't about this was about investment property, because there's another exception. Well, I'm talking about this primary residence Mortgage Forgiveness Act, but there's another exception, and that's if you're technically insolvent. Okay, so that's it. Go ahead, Jim. Tell me, what does that mean? Did that just sound just like you?
I know what insolvent means.
Insolvent? Okay. Technically insolvent, right? I have more liabilities than assets.
I know what solvent means. I took chemistry, okay?
I thought technically insolvent means I don't know how to use technology.
I thought it means that it's like oil and water.
What is a computer for?
I am a robot.
So I am going to tell you now what what technically insolvent means. Again, that means your liabilities are greater than your assets. So this person that
basic accounting.
Yes. So
I failed.
This person. Even basic accounting, and most people do.
It's true. It's awful.
Most people have no idea.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. Because most people are just like you. They have no idea what that means, and so when they're faced with this problem, they don't know how to solve it. They have no idea, and they can go online and you can read all you want, and they still won't know how to solve the problem.
Hey, we just met you. And these taxes are crazy. So here's his number. He's Stevie Leahy. What's the number?
Stevie?
Can we do?
And
you're not my cousin.
If there's a problem, he'll solve it. Call Stephen Leahy while the DJ revolves it.
We're high-fiving through the glass right now.
Whoa. Nobody knows there's glass.
What number can we do to call you?
You can call
how
me.
Can we contact you?
It's 312-664-6649. And you can go to my website, which is ChicagoTaxTeam.com.
Okay.
And there's lots of information on the website about this kind of stuff.
Is there a way that we can get information on this blog or connect?
This is where my kids always say, 1099A or C from a big box outfit. Okay. I talk about big box outfits a lot. Why? Because they don't care about you too much. They worry about numbers.
It's true.
They're doing numbers. If you're different, if your situation's different than most everybody else, they're not gonna. They don't come up for air and look at your situation. They don't care about you and that's why here people at Opem Tax Resolutions. We really care about you. We want to help you. And so if you need your tax returns done, if you have one of these problems, you get a 1099-A or C in the mail, then you need to call us at 312-664-6649. Did you sell your house at a short sale this last year? Call me, 312-664-6649. Do you want to sell your house short sale this year? Call me, 312-664-6649.
No, please, give me the number one more time.
312-664-6649.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned, because after the commercial break, we'll be right back.
You're listening to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy on AM 560, The Answer. Attorney Stephen Leahy brings his passion and expertise to your radio each and every week during the IRS Radio Hour. Tune in, take notes, and be educated. Learn your options resolving financial obstacles that face so many. And now, back to the IRS Radio Hour with your host, attorney Stephen Leahy.
Welcome back. This is the IRS Radio Hour, and I am your host. I am attorney Stephen Leahy, and I am here with my nephew. Do I say nephew? Yeah, my nephew, my co-host, my very good friend, Jim Leahy.
Hey. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the IRS Saga. And this week's segment of As the IRS Turns, Koskinen.
Wherever we can, we follow the law.
Barry Sotero.
Not even mass corruption, not even a smidgen of corruption.
And that ever-favorite Lois Lerner is herself.
Thank you. I'm not good at math.
For another week of As the IRS Turns. I'm Gaga for the saga.
Oh, that's a funny thing.
Yeah, that's great.
Because, the saga is anything but funny. Okay, because
it's anything but Gaga.
It kind of goes with this Oregon thing. The government out of control, and that's the IRS. The government's out of control. A couple good stories this week about our favorite. Because our favorite IRS saga person is Lois Lerner, right? Because the math.
That's a good one. I like Barry Sotero's
and Barry Sotero, but and also the third character is John Koskinen, and we like John Koskinen here. We like to talk about him, I should say, okay? Because John Koskinen, he's the guy in there that says, if we like to follow the law, if we can, we follow the law, and because sometimes he doesn't follow the law. I mean, that's why they have talked about impeaching him. That hasn't gone very far. I don't know where. I think my own opinion is I think he should be impeached and removed.
I think Hillary Clinton should be indicted, but doesn't.
But there's a good story. So, Citizens Against Government Waste announced the results of an online poll for 2015. Porker of the Year.
What does that mean?
It means he spends all government money and he doesn't really care about it. And last year produced a wealth of ludicrous moments in taxpayer gouging and government overreach.
You know what? I actually had an argument with somebody the past week saying that the IRS actually does need that money, and that that we should appropriate probably more funds.
Well, I bet you if you asked him how much you think they get, and we did this on the show.
And I did, and he goes, you know what, but take a look and think about this. And I just looked at him and was like,
how much do you think they get?
Like, you're nuts.
500 million, 600 million? No, it's 13 billion. Now it's more than $14 billion. And that's what this whole there's a story about Koskinen now, because now they have a little bit of money. And last year, they only answered 40% of the telephone calls. Okay, and it was an average of over a half an hour on the phone before they would answer your phone call. The rest were just disconnected. This year, with the extra $300 million, they're going to increase that. They're going to answer 60% of the calls, and the average wait time is going to go down to 20 minutes. Woo! That's the projection. It hasn't happened yet, but that's whoa, thank you, Mr. Koskinen. But we're going to cut audits because we don't have enough money for audits, so we can't go collect them. We got to do all these other things that we waste money on, and because
those videos,
because $14 or $15 billion isn't enough. We can't audit people, Tell that to the people they're auditing. And you're right. This is where it comes in because they say they don't have enough money. So who are they going to target to audit? Are they going to audit Obama's friends? Nope. No way. Not on your life, mister. They're not going after his friends. Are they going to go after his political enemies?
Nope.
Well, I think that's. I think that's pretty well in the do.
Will they go after Obama himself?
No, and we didn't even talk about Hillary Clinton's emails and the secret. So I'm just going to read this because we're running out of time in this segment. Commissioner Koskinen's sins against taxpayers have been well published, which makes his receiving the award all the more appropriate. He's named Koskinen Porker of the Month. He was named in August 2015. For his long litany of incompetence and obstruction as head of the reviled agency over the course of several hearings investigating the IRS targeting of conservative groups, Commissioner Koskinen repeatedly stonewalled and misled members of Congress during the search for Lois Lerner's emails, and that's why he won this prestigious award, Porker of the Year. Unbelievable.
He's going to put that right on his mantelpiece.
You know what? He doesn't care. Right? You could say all you want. I'm still in charge. And I'm
in charge of a $15 billion.
This was an organization called Citizens Against Government Waste. And guess what, Citizens Against Government Waste? We're going to audit you. How do you like that?
Are they auditing them?
No, I don't know that. But I wouldn't be surprised, because they get audited and people, they target people. And if the IRS is targeting you to get an audit or anything else, get some help. Don't fight them alone. Call Opem Tax Resolutions at 312-664-6649. Again, that number is 312-664-6649. Or go to the website, ChicagoTaxTeam.com. We want to help.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned because after the commercial break, we're going to have a little bit of the question of the day here on the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560.
The Answer.
Welcome back to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy. Stephen has helped hundreds of Chicagoans recover from financial disaster, and he wants to help you and your family. There are resolutions, and you will hear about all those resolutions during today's informative discussion on the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560 The Answer. Now, here's your host, attorney Stephen Leahy.
Welcome back. I am your host. I am attorney Stephen Leahy, and this is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560 The Answer.
And now, here's that man with a head just crammed full of knowledge, Mr. Know-It-All.
That's right.
So Debbie doesn't play any games. We're not playing games anymore.
We're not trying to find a way to,
come up with it. This is the best way to do it. Cut Jim right out.
No more messing with those puzzle pieces. Putting it together.
How did you know I was bad at puzzles?
I think it was a good guess.
Sudokus.
Oh, I love Sudoku.
I don't know.
I do. I love it.
I don't know how they
I haven't done them in a while, but I used to have the book and I would do them all the time.
My mom loves Sudokus, and her first name is Sue, so we call her Sudoku Sue.
I like that. It kind of rolls right off the tongue. Okay.
My name, I have an aunt named Doku, and we call her Sudoku. Okay, stop it, Jim.
She named herself.
What? She's not even Japanese. I think it's Japanese.
She's Irish. What an odd name.
Anyway, Jim.
There's a question that I actually have. Okay. And it's not it's a question that came up. Yeah. It's a question that came up that I was talking with somebody and I overheard, in the conversation. If I file for bankruptcy, okay, and I'm in bankruptcy. How can the IRS still come after me?
Okay, because people say, well, I just filed bankruptcy and the IRS says I owe them money. How can that be?
How can that be?
That's a very good question. And
I came up with it.
I think I mentioned earlier. I think I mentioned earlier in the show that I was at what they call a 341 meeting, and this is the meeting of creditors for bankruptcy people. And that was yesterday, and I was there, and you're in this big room.
Were you part of? Were you at the 700 Club too?
A lot of the big box outfits attorneys are there, and they have And they have, lines and lines of cases every day that they're. And I was talking to one young lady from one of the big box outfits, and she said to me, "How many cases do you have here today?" And I had to tell her, "I only have one." Okay, because I don't do bankruptcies like they do, hundreds and hundreds. I help people who have tax problems with bankruptcy, and these are complicated. They're not the normal bankruptcy cases. I help people who are in foreclosure with bankruptcy too, but we'll get into that another day. So what happens is that a lot of these bankruptcy outfits, they don't understand taxes. And so you go to them and you say, "Oh, the IRS is coming after me." Well, we could stop the IRS from coming after you if you file bankruptcy. And so they file bankruptcy, either a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13. And we'll talk about that another time too. And what happens is the IRS stops coming after them because the automatic stay comes in place. And the automatic stay is the order from the court that prevents the creditors from coming against you. But what happens when the case is over? If it's a Chapter 7, that's going to be over in about 4 months, 5 months. Well, guess what? The IRS, unless it meets the technicalities, and I'm just going to review them quickly with you. They have to be due more than 3 years ago. They have to be filed more than 2 years ago. There has to be assessed more than 240 days ago. There can't be any fraud. You can't have tried to avoid taxes. If all of that's true, well, then they're dischargeable in bankruptcy. It means you can get rid of them and never pay the IRS for them again. But if those things aren't true, then when you come out of bankruptcy, you still owe the IRS. And sometimes people come to see me and say, I filed, and this thing happens to them, and the IRS is still coming after them. And I look at the numbers, and I say, if they would have waited 2 months, you could have walked away from all of this debt. But because your bankruptcy lawyer didn't look to see about the taxes and didn't really understand discharging IRS debt in bankruptcy, that they filed too soon, and if you just would have waited 60 days, you could have walked away. But they didn't, so you can't, and that's a problem. Again, so if you're thinking, if you have IRS problems, you're thinking, and you have all these other debts, and you're thinking, well, maybe I need to file bankruptcy. Well, then you need to contact someone whether it's me or someone else. Of course, I understand bankruptcy because that's one of the 6 things you can do if you owe the IRS money, right? File bankruptcy. So get somebody that understands it. Now, I've had people who went through Chapter 13 to get rid of their bankruptcy debt. Their IRS debt, and they pay for 5 years in a Chapter 13 plan. They come out of the 5 years, and they think that they've gotten rid of the IRS, and the IRS starts knocking on their door again. You owe us. You still owe us. And
Are you there?
And they're shaking their head, thinking, "How can I still owe you? I just spent 5 years in bankruptcy," because they weren't dischargeable. And if they're not dischargeable when you file, then when you come out of bankruptcy, you're still going to owe them. And that's just the way it is.
That's terrible.
I know it is. And that's why.
That's just the way it is.
Bankruptcy's hard enough, right?
You see what I was doing there?
Yeah, I did see.
Things will never be the same.
It's true. Bankruptcy's hard enough. But if you have IRS debt and you're thinking about bankruptcy, get somebody who knows what they're doing
I had
to help
there.
you. Get you. Yeah, I understand. Get someone to help you. And that's what Opem Tax Resolutions does. And the law office of Stephen A. Leahy P.C. We help people solve their IRS problems. And sometimes that solution involves bankruptcy. And we understand bankruptcy. So again, give us a call. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Know-It-All. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any tax problems whatsoever, bankruptcies, if you need help, this is the guy to go to.
Absolutely true. 312-664-6649. Visit us on the web at ChicagoTaxTeam.com.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, don't change that dial. We're wrapping the show up, and we're going to do it in amazing way. Fashion.
That's
so,
right.
ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned here on AM 560.
The Answer.
You're listening to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy on AM 560 The Answer. Attorney Stephen Leahy brings his passion and expertise to your radio each and every week during the IRS Radio Hour. Tune in, take notes, and be educated. Learn your options resolving financial obstacles that face so many. And now, back to the IRS Radio Hour with your host, attorney Stephen Leahy.
That's just the way it is. Some things will never change. just the way it is.
Welcome back. I am your host.
This is Tupac, right? Is this Tupac, Debbie?
No. Bruce Hornsby?
Well, I'll get in contact with Tupac. He's not dead.
Okay. Well, this is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560, The Answer. And I am your host. I am attorney Stephen Leahy.
And I'm your co-host, Jim Leahy, and that's just the way it is.
Some things will never change.
And the
see what I just did there?
And the Blackhawks
they have changed
are rolling.
No, they're not rolling. They're back to rolling. They had a couple.
You
win 13 games in a row. You lose 2. They lost 5.
They got killed the other day.
Was Darling in the net the whole time?
No, not against Carolina. No, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's right before the. It's right before. Yeah, it's right before.
Did you hear that Jonathan Taze?
Yep, he got sick.
He's sick, and so they're suspended for a game.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense. Well, because I know why they do it, because otherwise the guys won't show up because they need the rest, so they'd rather take the rest.
Yeah, but also too, they're because for example, like Jonathan Taze and Alex Ovechkin are like mascot. They have like a mascot thing, or they're like really pushing Jonathan Taze. He goes, "Yeah, I'm not going to be there." It's like.
Remember last year?
It's like last week when I had the Black Sabbath tickets and nobody could go and be like, you knew it was coming.
But remember last year it was the Taze got to pick his own team. It was the Taze team against, was it the Ovechkin team?
No. It was it was Crosby's team.
Yeah. So
this year they're doing a cool thing.
I agree with you. And that
I can't wait to watch it.
Awesome.
I can't wait.
And
to
I have
watch
to say that in overtime, the 3-on-3, I think is awesome.
I know. I like the idea.
Talk about wide open hockey.
Yeah, I like that a lot better than the shootout.
Yeah, and the 4-on-4 just wasn't enough, but the 3-on-3 is incredible.
Well, I
really
continuous overtime, but you can't do that throughout the season. It's just, especially the way the playoffs are. It's too much hockey.
Yeah, but that's a different game. You can't do.
It really isn't that amazing. Hockey is the one that maybe baseball because baseball is just anything like bounces one way or another. That game's real luck. Baseball's. There is a lot of luck involved. But with hockey, it's just like the game completely does a 180. From the regular season to postseason, it really is a different game.
I think baseball is too, because it gets very intense. Every pitch is important.
You're not getting smacked around like hockey.
And I love hockey, but if I pick my sport's baseball.
I know. I'm in the middle. I wish I played hockey. I never did when I was a kid, so I'm a baseball guy. But
I always loved baseball. And again, I think playoff baseball is different. I would love
the NFL, but guess what? I mean, I just can't. I can't handle the NFL. What I see
the
with
big games coming. Why did Cam Newton has to bring it? The people are after me because I'm black. I didn't even think about
like that.
Like you're not the first black quarterback that's ever played. I don't know. Again, this always bothers me whenever we have to focus on the color of someone's skin. It just doesn't make any sense.
Just, what, Cam Newton, show a little class. You're there, show a little class. You got a great football
He's a great
team.
Quarterback. I'll give him that.
I want the Panthers to win regardless of that, just because Ron Rivera. Rivera.
I like Ron Rivera too.
And Charles Tillman.
He's a Bear, and Tillman. I like him, and that's true.
Get him the rings.
I do like Peyton Manning, though. I do.
I don't want Peyton Manning. It's his last year. Get him out of there. It's kind of that. He's going to get smoked, but that's my prediction.
Well, this is the IRS Radio Hour, and we're happy that you joined us, and we want you to join us next week, and we're going to talk about real fun stuff like IRS problems,
like 1099 A's and C's
from big box outfits. Okay, but if you're having IRS problems, call me at 312-664-6649, or you can go to my website, ChicagoTaxTeam.com.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, next week, same bad time, same bad channel. Thank you from us on AM 560.
The Answer.